and welcome to the Feeling Good podcast, where you can learn powerful techniques to change the way you feel. I am your host, Rhonda Borowski, and joining me here in the Murrieta studio is Dr. David Burns. Dr. David Burns is a pioneer in the development of cognitive behavioral therapy and the creator of the new team therapy. He is the author of Feeling Good, which has sold over 5 million copies in the United States and has been translated into over 30 languages. David is currently an emeritus adjunct professor of clinical psychiatry at Stanford University School of Medicine.
Hello, Rhonda.
Hello, David. How are you today?
Good. Anytime I'm hanging out with you and doing a podcast, that's always a bright day for me.
Yeah, it's always a really nice adrenaline rush. And everyone, welcome to episode 215. This is our part 2 of the live work that you and Dr. Jill Levitt did with Sunny on the self-defeating belief, the approval addiction. And this last week we heard testing and empathy. And this week we're going to be hearing what?
Yeah, the assessment of resistance phase and the methods phase. And then at the end of the podcast, Rhonda has some fantastic follow-up information to share with you.
Right. And so did you want to list what the methods were that you used, or just have people listen to them?
Yeah, sure. Well, one thing we went through positive reframing with Sunny in terms of what his negative thoughts and feelings showed about him that was positive and awesome, but it was okay, but it wasn't mind-blowing. And then all of a sudden, the real positive reframing happened when we looked at his thought, I shouldn't have to deal with this again. In other words, I should have been over my approval addiction and my anxiety by now, and he believed that 70%. And he couldn't really see why, and maybe you listeners can see if you can guess why, but why the fact that he was very anxious and having to go through this again, why that was actually not only a good thing, but a really fantastic thing. And when suddenly he saw it, it was an aha moment. It was a transformative moment. And that's an important point, that positive reframing is not cheerleading. It's not just saying nice things about the patient. It's getting the patient to see, and getting you listeners to see at the gut level that your depression and anxiety are really showing beautiful things about you and your core values and your life, and there's really benefits to them. And the moment you see that, suddenly recovery will be just a stone's throw away. But you have to see something you haven't seen before, and this session is going to be a fantastic example of that. And then once we did the positive reframing, we used a variety of techniques to help Sunny crush his negative thoughts, like I will not succeed, I'm weak, other people will think I'm a loser, I should be more like my sister and just go for it, and all of that stuff. And we used a number of methods, but the 5 main ones we used were identify the distortions. Number 2, the enhanced cost-benefit analysis, like what are the advantages and disadvantages of basing your self-esteem on needing approval, and what are these negative thoughts and feelings show about you and your core values that's really pretty cool. And then we did some powerful externalization of voices with using the self-defense paradigm and the acceptance paradox. Another big thing was the hidden emotion technique, when Jill suddenly realized that lurking behind Sunny's anxiety was anger. Mm-hmm. Maybe some anger toward his mom, some anger toward society as well. Mm-hmm. And then finally, we used the 5 secrets of effective communication to see how he might open up a bit more with his mother. And so with that introduction, let's...
Well, can I just say one thing about the hidden emotion?
Yeah, or many things you can say about it.
I mean, you've talked about that kind of theoretically, and I think that's for me, that was a hard method to really grasp.
Yeah.
That hidden behind anxiety is a stronger emotion or a more base I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, emotion like anger that you don't want to express. And I think it's really, really, this is a really cool illustration of how Jill and you bring that out in Sunny.
Yeah, this is a three-dimensional real life example of how niceness is the cause of all anxiety disorders. In other words, you show me 100 anxious people, I'll show you 100 of the nicest people you ever met. And while the niceness is a good thing, it also works to your disadvantage, because when something comes up that's bugging you, making you unhappy, instead of dealing with it and expressing those feelings, you sweep them under the carpet. And then all of a sudden you're having a panic attack or anxiety or maybe an episode of OCD or a phobia or something like that. And when you bring that hidden emotion out and have the courage to face it and to share it and to deal with the problem you've been avoiding, often the anxiety will totally disappear. So shall we see what happens here?
Yep, let's dive in.
Okay, we'll talk to you again at the end and hope you enjoy part 2 of the Sunny session on the approval addiction. I'd be ready to dive in, and Jill, if you're ready, and have Sunny choose the thought he wants to work on first, and probably just identify a couple of distortions and just jump on externalization of voices. If that sounds okay.
I would say I'd like to continue that thought about I shouldn't have to deal with this again, because I think I forgot about that.
Yeah. What are the distortions in that thought?
The should.
Great. What else?
Overgeneralization. Because I deal with it one time, but I thought it wouldn't be the same. And then I focus on the negative, but not the positive.
Yeah, the mental filter and discounting the positive.
Yeah. And then I also all nothing, because I actually deal with it better, but I expect to be more finesse into doing it.
Perfect. How about emotional reasoning?
Yes, because I'm doing exposure to myself in my life, and it kind of triggers some of these thinking too. Yeah.
Right. How about self-blame?
Self-blame. Yeah, because I think that I'm weak because I have to deal with this again, so I'm blaming myself for being weak. Yeah.
Right. Now, let's see how you might talk back to that. You want to try something heavy like externalization of voices?
Yeah, as heavy as.
What's your name?
Sunny.
What's Jill's name?
Sunny.
Okay, go for it, folks.
So, Sunny, would you like? Can I be the more aggressive version? Did you want me to hit you with this negative thought? We'll start with that, or did you want to hit me with a?
Just don't hit me, but yeah, no, the most aggressive is good.
Right. So I'm going to play the role of negative Sunny.
Okay.
Right, and I'll have you play the role of positive Sunny.
Okay.
Okay. So Sunny, you shouldn't have to deal with this again. You should be over this by now.
Yeah, it would be nice not to have these struggle and feelings. But like what you reminded me earlier, this is part of the deal of challenging myself, doing exposure. And I am going to the next level, at least for myself. So it's okay.
Sorry, I interrupted you, I think.
So it's okay, yeah.
So who won that, Sunny? Was it you or me?
I did, but I don't think I win huge.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So was it big or small?
Big, but not huge.
Big, but not huge.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to do a role reversal with me?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. So you're going to be negative Sunny, and I'll be positive Sunny.
Yeah, Sunny, you shouldn't have to deal with this again. Yeah.
Oh, I think I should have to deal with this again, actually. I mean, I think caring about and wanting people's approval is actually a big part of myself and my upbringing and my history. And it's probably going to come up each time I really challenge myself and push myself forward. So I think it's just a sign of who I am and what matters to me, as well as the fact that I've just taken a huge step in my life. So I think it's probably a good thing and not a bad thing that I have an opportunity to work on it and take myself to the next level. So who won that? You or me?
You won huge. I don't know why I wanted to cry earlier.
You want to cry now? It's beautiful to see those feelings. Yeah.
Just really hard, yeah. Needing approval from other people and training and looking at my sister wanting to be more like that and couldn't do it. And then I challenge myself when I'm older and doing a lot of things that I said like coming out, telling people the self-disclosure, giving up a high-paying job, not choosing my school in counseling and a big name, all these things I overcome, but still I feel like this. Like, in some way I'm maybe a little even more angry than I said I am, because all these patients I work with whose parents are telling them they need to do this, they need to do that, and it's killing their kids. Mm-hmm. You spend years trying to fix it, and even when they overcome it, you'll be like me, still kind of running against those very heavy pattern that is ingrained since you're a kid. And it's frustrating to feel like that when I can, even when I'm free. And I think I know how to swim quite well. But there'll be moments in time when these barrier comes and asks, use a stupid floating device. Well, I don't need that. But somehow I would take it when it's offered. And I think I'm afraid that I would do that again. I think that's one of the fear. Not that I won't succeed, or maybe not succeed, but do what I want, but I would choose the easier path, which I actually was tempted before too. Like I talked to David about a couple jobs that seems to be easier that way, but so it's kind of frustrating that it do with this and kind of irritated that I was being programmed like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're getting more in touch now. I mean, you had tears and you thought what I said was huge. But what I was doing was really embracing it and saying, I should have to deal with this. This is kind of a part of who I am, and it's my family values, and I'm reaching and growing. And so, of course, this is coming up for me. But that brought, while on the one hand you thought that was a huge win, it also made you feel really sad because it sounds like, and then angry and frustrated because it sounds like you're feeling like, I wish this weren't a part of me. Like I wish, and you're also talking about patients and their parents. So you're saying, I wish this wasn't something that people did to their children. Yeah. This idea of making their children feel like they need to be, they need to have their approval, like not giving their children wings.
Yes.
And it's painful for you. And you feel now not only sad, but also kind of angry and frustrated that you've been in this situation and had to, like you have been flying, but each time you fly, it's incredibly painful.
Yes, because I limit how high I would fly because of this. And that's why and that's very painful to know that I can just be free and capable of it, but lower how far I can go because of myself, not because of what other people think. Yeah.
Again, I'd like to focus us back on your negative thoughts. Are we done with that thought, or have we crushed that one?
I don't think we're done because we didn't do a role reversal.
Yeah, let's do a role reversal.
Can I hit Sunny with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, and you can use something like what I said if you felt that was huge, or build on it based on what you've just shared with us. So, Sunny, you shouldn't have to deal with this again. You should be over this by now.
Well, it would be nice if I don't have to deal with this, but unfortunately, because of my heavy pattern of thought, brainwash growing up, I couldn't be myself, and it has its value, but there's something definitely I will have to deal with it whenever there's a trigger or when I'm going to a new level in emotional growth. Yeah.
And who won that, Sunny? You or
I
me?
did.
You? And was that big or small?
Big, yeah.
Or big or huge?
Huge, yeah.
It was huge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, let me take, that was great. Sunny, you know who I am, Sunny?
Sunny?
Yeah, and I know you beat down that other Sunny over there, but I just, and I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I just want to remind you that you're weak.
I am not weak in a way, because even though I was trained to be compliant and have a big fear of me, I constantly overcome it, challenge myself and overcome it. And it's not natural for me too. So I'm not weak, but I can train myself also to seek less of approval from others, including that very critical part of myself. Yeah.
Who won?
I did.
Big or small?
Big.
Big or huge?
Huge, yeah, for me, yeah.
Huge. Awesome. Your turn, Jill.
I just want to throw out one idea, and we could keep going, but David, tell me what you think about this. I kind of wonder whether what's also coming up is a little bit of a hidden emotion where Sunny is actually angry with his mom. And that it maybe isn't even so hidden, but you started out at maybe 20% anger, but when we did the first externalization of voices, that you shouldn't have to deal with this again, you said you started to feel more angry and frustrated. And then you talked about really feeling angry with these parents who are doing this to their children, and then their children are going to have to work for years to undo it. And so I wonder whether, you're actually feeling kind of angry with your mom for putting you in this situation.
Yes, I am angry. Less so now after I talked to her, but still very angry at these parents who have to put some of what my patients through, and because I don't think it's fair. Yeah.
But what about when you said you talked to her, you got her approval? My question is, when you talked to her, did you share with her that you were feeling hurt and even a little bit angry?
Yes, I did. I didn't tell her I was angry. I didn't tell her I was angry. I was telling her that I feel kind of useless. And I started crying already. So and that's
right. And then that my thinking is that's still along the lines of the approval addiction, because then she would tell you that you weren't useless. Whereas the hidden emotion model would be that you would actually share with her your feelings as they relate to her, which is that you feel that you've been spending a lot of time trying to undo, the damage. And I mean, of course, we could talk to you about how to share that, but would you share those feelings with her that you've been feeling like you've been chasing approval for your whole life and how hard that's been for you?
Yeah, it's kind of scary to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say to one of your patients? Would you recommend that or not recommend that? Or you can share feelings like that in a very loving way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would recommend that. Yeah. Yeah.
So would that be a homework assignment?
Yeah, tell my mom she was wrong.
Well, and we'd recommend you even do, you could do a 5 secrets run through, a rehearsal of how to share with her your feelings. And you can do it in a very vulnerable way and how hard it's been for you. And I know, Sunny, that you love her and that you feel like she was doing the best that she could and that she had reasons for the way that she did things. At the same time, maybe sharing just, the goal would certainly not be to get her approval about how awesome you've been, but rather to get her to see the pain really that you've had.
Yeah.
And to maybe see if you can use that as a way of deepening your relationship with her, because your relationship satisfaction with her is still pretty low, although she's obviously very important to you, which is another beautiful thing about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I can do that.
And we can continue going on with externalization of voices, but I just felt like since Sunny kind of suddenly revealed that he was feeling really angry, that it made sense to highlight that.
Well, I think that's great, Jill. That's really, really super. I'm wondering if when you get in touch with your anger about it, if that makes you feel any less anxious.
Yes, because it's protecting me from being vulnerable.
Yeah. Would you like to spend the time here? I'm thinking there could be, it would just take us probably a minute to blow away the rest of these negative thoughts.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Could I talk to you for a minute, Sunny?
Uh-huh.
And then we can talk about, what you're going to say to your mom. But I just want to let you know that you're wasting your time these days.
I am not wasting my time, for sure. I'm having the time of my life.
Well, I think that one's huge already.
Yeah, I'm enjoying. I actually, and not that I don't enjoy myself before, since I changed my career, but this is like the next level. Yeah,
that's awesome. I love that. But you will not succeed.
Actually, if I don't feel I think I'm already succeeding if I can just keep doing what I'm doing without too much fears. Yeah.
Yeah, but others would be happy to be in your position, so you should be more satisfied. You shouldn't have all these irrational fears and negative feelings.
I don't know. What can I say? I'm better. I don't know. Let me see. Well, I think that it's part of growth, which I actually use with a lot of people who grew up in a similar structure, which, by the way, has a lot of them in these big tech companies that I counsel now. So I think it'll be helpful for them, and it'll definitely be. But I think this. I'm not enlightened yet, so I don't want to be perfectionist about it. But it's good to kind of keep going in that direction. Yeah.
I'm pretty satisfied you can knock any of these out of the park. Is there anything that's left that would, from those negative thoughts? We just jumped on a few of them, but they're all kind of variations on the same theme. If there's anything that's still nagging at you, we can hit you with that.
I think I need people to support me. And
could I talk to you for a minute, Sonny?
Yeah.
You know as very well that you need people to support you, so don't you forget it.
I think it's good to have people around me to love me, and I love them, and emotionally be there. But I don't think I need their support to tell me what's right or wrong, because they don't know. They probably don't even know. Yeah.
Who won?
I did. Yeah.
Big or small?
Big. Yeah.
Big or huge?
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But Sonny, other people are going to think that you're a loser.
They already told me I'm not, but I don't even want to hear it from them, or admiration. Oh, Sonny, you sacrifice yourself to do what you love. I don't think those approval are even that important. And it's not a sacrifice what I'm doing now. I enjoy it. And I'm not losing. I'm not a loser. Yeah.
And who won that? You or me? Yeah. Was that big or huge?
Big and huge. Yeah.
And now, could we just take a look at your negative emotions, and would this be a good time to see how you're feeling at this moment?
Sure.
Okay. How unhappy are you feeling?
I'm really tired, so I don't know. I think I spend all my emotional energy. No, I'm not unhappy anymore. Yeah, 0. Yeah.
Okay. How anxious right now?
0 now, actually. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How guilty?
0. Yeah.
Uh-huh. How inadequate?
0. If anything, I don't want to be arrogant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How lonely?
10.
10. How embarrassed?
10.
How hopeless?
5. Yeah.
Great. How frustrated?
10.
How angry?
20.
And how lost?
20.
20. You made tremendous changes. What was the key to that in tonight's session? Are these changes real, and if so, how did that come about?
I guess it reminds me what I've been doing with my own patients, that kind of accepted that part of my journey of exposing myself, challenging myself, is normal, because I do want to get better, and I do have very high standards, so maybe I need to lower a little bit of it on how much I grow emotionally. But yeah, a lot of acceptance of these triggers and feelings and sensation that comes along with it as part of growth. Yeah.
Do you want to do a little rehearsal with what you might say to Mom, so say with little guidance from Jill?
Sure. Can I just tell her to have listened to this podcast by you?
Well, actually, you could do that, because I can give you a recording, and she uses Dropbox and stuff.
She's a little
listen to it with her. Actually,
she's a little deaf, so and that's not literally. That's not figuratively. She's actually really deaf. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will probably have to combination of texting her and then talk to her in person. Yeah.
And what would you say that Jill is Mom there? What are you going to say to her? Is that a good way to do it, Jill?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So the other day when I had to cry for you because I thought I was useless. I'm still a little bit irritated, because growing up, I have my challenges of seeking approval from people, especially from you. And I know that it is important. You care about me a lot and want us to do well to survive America, and don't want to make a mistake and end up hurting ourselves. And I'm really grateful for that, because I wouldn't be where I am without you. At the same time, there are some negative feelings that I have, because I felt anxious a lot growing up, fearing that I would make the mistake and not get approval from you, and worse, get punished like the way my sister did. Yeah, I'm wondering how you are feeling about what I said. I can, maybe you can, perhaps you may be feeling a little hurt hearing that, but maybe you can share with me what some of your thoughts are and feelings about what I just said. Yeah.
Great. Now, how did you grade yourself on that? Is that an A, a B, a C?
Well, it's very sincere. Did I do all the 5 secret? I don't know. I wasn't even thinking about it too much. maybe a B plus, because I may need to understand more about her reaction to what I said. If she got irritated or even angry about me, I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Why don't you ask Jill?
Jill, what do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably give it an A minus, maybe a B plus, but I actually thought it had a lot of great things in it. I mean, I did think you shared your I feels about kind of feeling irritated. And I thought it was warm, and I thought it was gentle. And you had you had some feeling, empathy in there, and some I feels like that you felt grateful. Mm-hmm. I think how it struck me, there were two pieces I thought could be stronger. One was actually to share how it's impacting you now, like to be more in the present, even like, because you kind of say over the, like, I haven't wanted to make mistakes, or I got anxious a lot growing up, feeling like I would make a mistake and get punished. And I guess I just thought sharing yourself even now, like even now that I've been working on this for a long time, trying to get over that feeling that I need your approval or other people's approval. Mm-hmm. And I'm just fine. I'm still struggling with it. And I wanted to share that with you. And I also thought that maybe just a little more stroking, but maybe in the lines of like, I really love you, and you know how important you are to me. And there's this thing that I've really never shared with you. Mm-hmm. So that it's like an opportunity. It's not like I'm criticizing you and telling you sucked as a mom. It's like, I love you and I feel so close to you. And there's this thing I've always struggled with, and I've never really shared it with you. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's a stroking, self-disclosure. I'm hoping to feel closer to you. I'm hoping that we can like understand each other better.
I think that's great feedback. And mine was, I guess you said that Sonny said irritated. I didn't hear that word, but it could have been there. But I thought that, if your goal is to share anger, and that's the one feeling no therapist in the United States has ever acknowledged or used. But you could, in that very gentle way, just saying, I just love you so much. And so it's hard for me to tell you that sometimes I feel some anger about, always having to meet somebody else's expectations rather than to learn to be my own person. And but I'm also concerned in telling you that maybe you're feeling hurt or angry with me. Can you tell me more what this is like for you, Mom? Because this is a tough conversation, but I feel like this could bring us even closer together as mother and son, and that's my absolute goal here. I mean, how would that be?
Well, it's good. It's good that I was trying to address the irritation part, but I think I probably need to be more direct and succinct about how I was irritated, why I was irritated.
Yeah.
And then how she may be irritated by me saying that because I'm not being respectful.
Yeah, that's huge right there.
You could even say that though. That would be so cool if you said something like, and even now in sharing this with you, I feel kind of worried that I might not get your approval, that you might feel angry with me, or that I might even be punished by you for being open.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What do you think of that? Because it's exactly the same thing that would be coming up in the moment, right?
Yeah. I think I just have to use the right word for anger in Chinese, because there's more negative connotation to that.
Oh, yeah.
In the culture, so I need to make sure I do it right so it doesn't sound like I'm attacking. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Would you take it as a homework assignment to have this conversation with your mom and then send an email to the group?
Yeah, definitely.
Great, perfect. The group has been entirely excluded, and we still have a few minutes here, and it could maybe go, a few minutes after 7. But I think we needed to work with you exclusively to get from point A to point Z here. But maybe we could let people in the group now, raise some questions and ask you questions or make comments and things of that nature.
Can I just share one thing with Sunny, David?
Yeah.
And then I'm happy to open it up to the group. Sunny, I just wanted to tell you that, so this session was actually really helpful for me in a surprising way. So I have 2 boys, and my older son is 16. He just turned 16 on Sunday. And he's very opinionated, and he thinks for himself, and he wants to run his own show. And I'm actually, I kind of let him, I really honor and respect his wishes, and I allow him to make decisions unless I think they're, dangerous, right? But I'm oftentimes doubting myself. Like, am I too lenient? Should I be pushier? I see all these moms controlling their kids' future. Should I be more controlling? Should I step in? It's irritating to me that he doesn't fall in line. It's like very hard to raise such an independent kid. And so I don't know, there's something that you're sharing with me has given me kind of like peace and permission to be the kind of parent who, allows their kid to not need their mom's approval. So I thank you for that.
Thank you. Good. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I don't know where he'll end up doing, but I'm very certain that he'll be happier.
So let's see what questions people have and what thoughts people have. And thank you for being so patient. So I'm switching back here to the gallery view, and if you would like to contribute something or raise a question or say, I had only one teaching point tonight. There might have been a number of them, but I think it would have been easy in working with you, Sunny, to get all lost in, general talk about approval and needing approval and whatever. And I found that by just going through the team structure, it let us work together effectively, both at the testing session, and then after the session, if you'd fill out the end of session ratings on the brief mood survey and the evaluation of therapy session, that would be great too, Sunny. But that then on the empathy, it guided us in the empathy, which wasn't difficult to get to a good level of empathy. And I thought the agenda setting was simple to follow the structure and put us right on an excellent path. I thought the positive reframing led to a big insight that you're telling yourself you shouldn't have to be upset. You shouldn't have to go through this again. This is a bad thing. And I think as a part of the positive reframing, you saw that this is actually a good thing. It's highly desirable that you're having to go through this again, because the meaning of it is that you're jumping to a new orbit in your personal life. And then I thought both the 5 secrets work as well as the identify the distortions and crush the negative thoughts, both followed straightforwardly and allowed us to put something together that had a beginning, an end, a benefit, and a homework assignment, rather than just talking in a quasi-miscellaneous way for the whole session. That's my thought for what it's worth. But I really like the feeling of going someplace meaningful that will have an immediate payoff for the person that I'm working with. But any comments or questions?
I do have one comment and question. First of all, this is was very moving even for me, I have to say. Sunny, I don't know you. I actually saw you only once at the intensive. But I have to say, we share a very similar history in terms of everything you said, and the part about the approval addiction and the relationship with the mother. And so this was really, wow, for me. I'm anxious right now. I'm very anxious, and I feel almost crying. But I guess the question I also would like to ask is, in talking to your mom, I think it's a great idea, of course, but I would be also careful, and I will ask you what would you want to achieve with that? How close would you want to be? Do you want to get closer to her? How close are you with her right now? I'm asking those things because there's many things that I would want to say to my mom, but I never did. And maybe I'm rationalizing, but I'm thinking, oh, she's 85 now and whatever and blah, blah, blah. And also I'm thinking, there's no way we can be that much close anyway for so many reasons. So those are probably self-defeating thoughts. And so I'm not definitely discouraging you to talk to your mom. I think it's a great idea, but I also would like to encourage to think about what would you want to get from that conversation? What would be your goal? I guess that will help you make the use the 5 secrets in a more consistent way, probably.
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually thought about that as I had to think about more. I think the goal is the same as what I'm feeling right now with all of you. When I do self-disclosure before, there was a little approval component to it when I do it in front of you guys to David, and in some way hoping that they will say, oh, it's okay, son. It's kind of like a son, like child coming to the parent, and crying. But the result of this is different, that I felt like it's more for me letting you and letting her know that I care about you all. I thank her for all the love she gave me to what she understands. At the same time, there is some unsaid things before, and letting them know that I was hurt and irritated, but and it's something to share with her, but not to get approval from her. So that would be the goal. I have to think about what to say.
Yeah, that makes sense.
More freeing. Yeah.
I have an answer to that also, for what it's worth, that we run into this problem with patients who are angry with us, or we're angry with the patient too. And then how do you handle that? And I think, again, I think the solution is not to solve the problem, but to share your feelings and to develop a more loving relationship with mother. The same goal we'd have pretty much in any relationship. It would not be to get over this approval thing, but paradoxically to get closer to mother, to have a loving relationship, which means, to me, the capacity of two people to share negative feelings with each other openly and use that as a way of deepening the relationship. I sometimes screw up. I'm sometimes insensitive. Sometimes I get angry with people. Sometimes people get angry with me, and for good reason, almost always. And I found that if you stick with those conflicts and talk about them in a spirit of warmth and caring, but openness, they can almost always lead to a more loving relationship. I guess it's kind of simplistic what I'm saying, but to me, it gives me a roadmap that I don't have to solve all these problems, all these people, just to be open and be with the negative feelings together. And I have no one to be threatened by that. I don't know. Does that make any sense, Sonny?
Yeah, I just want a more mutual relationship instead of like a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a little kid anymore. Right. I do understand what Fabrizio said, because at least in my culture, I had to be very sensitive with the wording.
Yeah.
Because anything with anger or they get triggered really quickly. So I think
it's the same in our culture. That's why no mental health professional in the United States has ever once acknowledged or used the word anger, and never will.
Yeah, and that has to be done in a loving way. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other comments or feedback from people? Richard, yes, I was just hoping you would raise your hand.
Sonny, I'm curious because I love what David's saying in terms of communication, of kind of like a big part of communication is going in and not really kind of expecting anything and just like wanting to share thoughts and understand thoughts. And at the same time, I wonder if this is going to be kind of like those moments where it might be like two birds with one stone. Because for me, I know I'm in the same boat as you. I have like so much respect for elders and authority. And it's hard for me extra hard for me to bring up anger to authority figures. And I wonder if this is also going to be kind of like an exposure for you.
Oh,
as well.
I love that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Dipti, did you have your hand up? You need to unmute yourself.
Sonny, this is such an awesome session. I think for me also it helped me to examine my role as a mom, because my elder one is a bit, she's always been a very, very obedient child. So I was wondering if I have instigated her, in her some kind of an approval seeking, because she keeps sharing with me a lot. So although she's recently she told me that she's been enjoying her work from home time, and but I still feel that although she told me that I used to always invite her for arguments, and that was much later, but when I realized that approval seeking is a wrong thing, so I was just wondering if I would once again ask her if I have ever unknowingly instigated that feeling in her. Yeah, so this was so touching. It was just too good. Thank you so much.
And I might add that you have a beautiful, beautiful daughter who I had the pleasure of meeting, and wherever we were up in Canada.
Yeah, she's the younger one. She's much strong-headed. She will openly, because she was the second one, I think she was a luckier one. She can very openly argue with me and disagree with me, and that's fun. But my elder one is like, she's a good girl, and I think I might have made some mistake there.
Yeah, I think it's I work with a lot of high stress, high achieving population, probably like a lot of you, also in high school, and a lot of suicidal teenager for similar reason. That's why I mentioned to Jill and that, well, they're probably happier. I know quite a few people who went to Stanford. I went to Stanford too, right? And also with this big company, and they got what they were trained to do, but they didn't learn to be very happy, and I'm not sure if it's worth it. Well, I know if it's my kid, it's not worth it, but I don't want to speak for other parents. Yeah.
By the way, this is old timers coming back. I see, Marla, that you're here with us. I haven't seen you for a long time, and just terrific to have you back in the group again, Marla. We'll be looking forward to getting caught up. One last question. Again, you folks didn't have much of a chance to practice anything or even to say much of anything. You were just watching, while we were doing our thing. Was this a useful, training or learning experience for you? Right. We'll get it on the feedback, but I'd love to see what you think. Yeah. Thank you, Mr.
David, can I make one quick comment on that note? I kind of wanted to mention something, and it was about training in a way. Something happened, I think, and Sunny, maybe you could chime in about this. And you did this beautiful flow through the team process, but when you were in positive reframing, you kind of drew a line at some point and said, Sunny, it makes perfect sense that you're feeling this way, and are you ready to see that? He said, could you see how it's highly desirable? And you'd kind of been trying to get at that, but you got really specific and said, can you see that and see why this is exactly how you should be feeling? And I think, Sunny, the moment that David kind of got direct with you about that, you really shifted in some way and maybe saw that it was exactly what you're telling your patients, that they are going to be feeling uncomfortable when they do things that are pushing themselves in a new way. And something shifted in that moment. And you even made a comment, David, like, we're kind of there.
Yeah,
now.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I'm 200% on that. And in positive reframing, you see the downside. Everything has a downside. And the downside of it might seem like cheerleading or rote or automatic or just going through the motions of this list. But you have to see something during positive reframing. It's an aha moment. And that's exactly what you said, that for Sunny, for you to see, it's what is true is I should be feeling upset again. And it's highly desirable that I'm feeling upset again. And that's diametrically opposed to the mindset that you had, that somehow you shouldn't be feeling this way and it's bad to be feeling this way. It shows that you're weak. It shows that you're strong. But at the same time, you are weak, and it's great to be weak too. But yes, I thought that's absolutely right, Alex. That was the pivotal moment, I thought.
And also it's good that David and Jill, kind of waited and explore more, because as probably I won't be the only one. I was very careful not to say what you two want to hear. Oh yeah, that's great. And it's highly desirable. So that's why I waited a little bit to think about it before. And I think that can be a trap for ourselves in our session, because some of these folks who look us highly may just, but they may not think it through. I think that was a good thing that you two asked me to push through it.
Yeah, beautiful note from Dipti there. Thank you. And you'll want to read that later, Sunny, too. Well, I think we should probably let people go, and we didn't keep you too long, and I hope you enjoyed yourself tonight. I hope you learned some things. I hope it was a useful session. We'll have to figure out what we want to do next week. But again, I want to thank you, Sunny, because when you share yourself, it just and make yourself vulnerable to me. That's real. That's real. It's not just some exercise or role play that we're doing, and the learning is on a deeper level. And Jill, it's just always such an honor and a pleasure to be working with you, not only because of your technical genius, but because of your warmth and compassion and graciousness as well.
Well, it's always fun to work with you. Thank you for letting me be your co-therapist. That was wonderful.
So shall we say good night to everybody? Yeah. And bye-bye, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Sunny.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Sunny. Thank you, David. Thank you, Jill.
Okay, I'm going to click it off and render the session. So we'll have some recordings maybe.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
All right. So now they've heard the entire Sunny section. And if you listen on the feelinggood.com website, you can get the show notes, and you can see his end of session ratings on the daily mood log and the brief mood survey. But to make a long story short, all of his negative feelings went to zero. And that's what we're looking for in team. It's not just feeling a little less anxious or a little less depressed, but the complete obliteration of the feelings of anxiety and depression. So talk to us, Rhonda. And
well, let's hear. Sunny wrote you and everyone an email to describe what the experience was like for him the next day, and I thought it would be cool to read it.
Yeah, go for it.
And he wrote, "Hi, folks. I just wanted to give you an update of what happened after our group. I was exhausted, but I felt very good, even different from other times when I did self-disclosure. And deep down, a part of me was looking for some validation from others. This time, I came out feeling very confident about myself and my ability to swim without the floating bubbles, i.e., approval from others. Most importantly, I enjoy life now. In fact, I didn't think talking with my mom was necessary because I was not angry with her the next day. Somehow I wasn't blaming her anymore because I knew she had changed. I was thankful because I wouldn't be where I am without her pushing me, but I did chat with her later." Actually, he must have written this a couple days later, not the next day.
Mm-hmm.
"I told her how hurt I was and when I felt a lot of pressure from her when I was young, and that I love her very much, and now I'm happy that I'm confident about my own life decisions without needing approval from others. And my mother told me that she is happy that I'm happy. And when we were young, she is happy that I'm happy and that she will always love me and support me. And she's happy that I'm doing whatever I love so that I don't have regrets in life." She went on and on and on. There was lots of loving language between us that we don't normally use together. It was an awesome chat, and now my mother and I are closer. But just as importantly, I wasn't looking for any validation from her. Excuse me. It was more like giving her some good news about my personal growth, and I felt more confident and equal but loving when I talked with her, so it was all good. I do have an insight on self-disclosure. From my experiences, there is a fine line between self-disclosure and approval-seeking type of sharing. Both can have similar immediate results, feeling good and emotional. So we have to make sure that our clients are clear of the objective of the self-disclosure and that there's no approval-seeking hidden inside, if that's not the objective. So thank you so much to David and Jill and everyone at the Tuesday group. Sunny.
So that's awesome. And then I thought that the session with Sunny was really, really excellent. And it just addresses one thing that, a lot of people are skeptical about rapid changes that I've been pushing for my whole career, thinking that if someone has a kind of a personality issue, they're going to need, long-term insight-oriented therapy. And that could be perhaps true in some cases, and there may be some therapists who are really, really good at doing that too. But I think it's important to maybe just to point out that therapy really did have a transformative experience in a single therapy session lasting less than 2 hours. But what blew me away, and we'll ask for your help on this again, was the feedback from the Tuesday group, because after each group we asked them to give negative feedback, positive feedback, to rate the group. And I'm never sure whether or not they're going to like a particular training group. So maybe you can share some of what they wrote.
Someone wrote, "I agree with David that the learning which takes place via live personal work may be the most powerful of all." Someone else wrote, "I appreciate Sunny's courage to share his vulnerability. His cultural background and parenting style are very similar to mine. I enjoyed the masterful use of empathy from Jill and David. I loved seeing the whole process of team being modeled with Sunny. I especially liked the positive reframing and empathy stages, but it was all such a blown away experience. I loved watching the whole session unfold. It was a powerful reframe, and Jill really honed in on the hidden emotion, which seemed to resonate with Sunny very much. It went so deep and was so moving and beautiful. I appreciate Sunny's courage and authenticity and the skill of David and Jill."
Thanks. And there were just many more. I love the sessions. It went so deep and was so moving and beautiful. And there are probably 20 more comments like that.
Yep.
But the one point I want to make is that the turning point, and this is what team therapy is all about, is that we're used to thinking of negative feelings as bad. It's a
and then we try to
mental
talk our patients out of having them.
Yeah, and that's how all of therapy is set up. Psychopharmacology is the same thing. But the turning point for Sonny was when he saw this thought, I thought I shouldn't have to deal with this again. You see, he's thinking he's defective, and somehow he should have overcome his defects. And that's how we think about depression and anxiety. And the breakthrough came when I helped him see, and Jill helped him see, that he should have to deal with this again. And that's actually a celebration. You see, the reason he has to deal with this again is because he's made the courage to be his own person at yet a higher level, and to spend half of his time doing what he wants to do and half the time doing the other thing he loves, is treating patients. And so the meaning of his anxiety is not that he's broken and defective, but that he's a man of courage, and that he's again decided to face his fears so as to grow emotionally. And once he saw that, he could not deny it. And then the paradox that I verbalize a lot, I think most of the time people don't really grasp it, is that the moment you see that your depression or anxiety or both are really beautiful things, that are the expressions of what's most beautiful about you and your core values, at that moment, you will suddenly not need the depression and anxiety anymore, and it'll be really easy to smash those thoughts and knock the ball out of the park. So we thank you all for listening. We hope you really enjoyed and benefited from the Sonny sessions, not only seeing how team therapy works, which is, of course, one of our goals, but also perhaps many of you will feel helped with your own insecurities and feelings that you need everyone's approval, and you're not good enough, you're not successful enough, because that's the theme that causes most depression and anxiety. And so, until next week, any other closing comments here, Rhonda?
No, just this was such a heartfelt, deeply moving 2 sessions with Sonny.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Till next time. This has been another episode of the Feeling Good podcast. For more information, visit Dr. Burns' website at feelinggood.com, where you will find the show notes for this episode under the podcast page. You will also find archives of previous episodes and many resources for therapists and non-therapists. We welcome your comments and questions. If you want to support the show, please share the podcast with people who might benefit from it. You could also go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. The theme music is Gypsy Jazz in Paris, 1935, composed and performed by Brett Van Donsel. I am your host, Rhonda Borowski. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I invite you to join us next time for another episode of the Feeling Good podcast.